Hello everyone, today I'm going to be introducing one of the houseplants I have in my home. This is the whalefin dracena, formerly known as the whalefin sansevieria, Dracaena masoniana. Hi, my name is Mikhail and I'm from Gardens by the Bay. This is part of the Bringing the Gardens Home series where I'll be introducing some of the houseplants I have in my home so that it might hope to inspire you to grow some plants at home or to help you better understand the plants you already have at home. So one of my favorite plants is Dracaena masoniana. My goodness, even I can't wrap my head around the new name. This used to be called Sansevieria masoniana, and you'll find lots of people selling or just talking about this plant with that old name. In fact, if you take a look at the label, I haven't changed the label on this plant. I still call it Sansevieria masoniana. It's really an old habit that has to go. We need to keep ourselves updated with the new name. So this is in the group of plants called snake plants. I know you can't tell with this variety over here. It's got a relatively broad leaf. This is quite a small leaf. I have other plants that have the leaf, probably 1.5 times the height of this and double the width of this. It's known for its very broad leaves, which is why it's called the whalefin dracena. It's in the group of plants that's called the mother-in-law tongue plants, and the reason why it's called that is because just like my mother-in-law's tongue, no matter what you do, it will not die. This plant thrives on neglect. It's native to Central Africa, specifically the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It takes both high and very low light. In fact, we have some in the gardens that are growing in the sun pavilion out in full sun. And I've had one of these in my living room behind the television for about 3 years where it didn't get watered very often. It didn't get any light. It didn't grow much, to be honest, but it didn't die. It thrives on neglect. The only important thing with this plant is to keep it fairly dry. This is a plant that's sort of a semi-succulent. You can have a look later. We'll zoom in and show you some of the media that I have over here. You got to keep the media nice and free draining. Lots of air inside the media and relatively infrequent waterings. The plant in my living room was watered maybe once a month, but that was really unfairly neglecting the plant. The plants I have in better locations where they have a little bit more light are watered about once every 1.5 to 2 weeks. It really depends when I remember to water them. It's important to give them a good free draining media because that way, even if you overwater them a little bit, maybe too frequently, the media drains out really well. So good things to incorporate into the media would be things like perlite, pumice, sharp sand, gravel, or in the case that I have over here, I like to use charcoal. And this allows the plant to have lots of air around its roots. It's actually got a buried stem underground, and that's the best way to propagate it. This plant will propagate from leaf cuttings. You cut a leaf off and you stick it in good media and then let it root out slowly. It does take a very long time to root, however. And another tip is, because we try to keep this plant a little bit on the dry side to prevent it from rotting, after you've cut the leaf and before you propagate it, I would leave it to dry out. Just leave it somewhere hanging in a nice airy location. Just put it on a back bench or something out of the rain. I would do that for a couple of days. Let the wound dry and callus over before you plant it. But to be honest, I prefer to propagate these from the underground stem. I find that they grow much faster. They establish more quickly from the underground stem. So if you remove some of the media towards the surface of the plant, you'll find this sort of rooty structure that kind of looks a little bit like a very stressed, very ugly looking ginger, and that's actually the underground stem. If you cut away the underground stem with a leaf attached to it and then plant that, I find that gets you an established plant much faster. This plant over here you'll see is a little bit shaky in its pot. It was planted about a month ago. It has been watered 2 or 3 times since then, maybe 4 times since then because it's been really hot. It's starting to root out, but I wouldn't be sure it's rooted until it stops shaking, and I'm a little bit more fussy, so I want to make sure that I see roots coming out the holes of the bottom so I know for sure that it's very well rooted. This is a great plant to have in your collection, mainly because it will thrive just about anywhere, in a really sunny room or in a really shaded space. Although you have to understand, if you put it in a really shaded place, it's not going to grow that much, although the plant shouldn't die on you. You do want to keep them in a little bit of a sunnier location. Give them a good application of slow release fertilizer and water them about once every week to 1.5 weeks. Remember to check the moisture in your area before you start watering it again. It's a good plant to have. It looks very fancy compared to the old mother-in-law tongues, and it looks very trendy. Great for Instagram. Thank you for joining me. My name is Mikhail and you've been watching Bringing the Gardens Home.